What if I told you the greatest footballer who ever lived almost never picked up a ball again at age 11? Not because he lost interest, not because he wasn't good enough, but because his own body was working against him. This is the full story of Lionel Messi, and most people only know half of it. In 1999, an 11-year-old boy sat in a doctor's office in Rosario, Argentina, waiting for results after more than a year of tests. He was 4 feet 4 inches tall and hadn't grown since he was 9 years old. The diagnosis was growth hormone deficiency, a rare condition where the body fails to produce enough growth hormone for normal development. Without treatment, doctors said he would never grow past 4 feet 7 inches. For a boy who dreamed of professional football, this was a death sentence for his career. The treatment existed. Nightly injections of growth hormones directly into his leg every single night without fail. But the cost was $1,000 every month. For a working-class family in Argentina, that number was impossible. Every night, young Leo injected himself and went to bed dreaming of football. Every month, his family watched their savings disappear. This went on for 2 years. Then came the call that changed everything. FC Barcelona had heard about a small boy from Argentina who was doing things with a football nobody could explain. They arranged a trial. His family scraped together everything they had to fly to Spain. He had one chance. He took it. Barcelona's director Carlos Rexach watched Messi train and made a decision on the spot. He was so certain he grabbed the nearest piece of paper, a napkin, and wrote the contract terms right there. A 13-year-old boy's entire future signed on a napkin. Barcelona would pay for everything. The treatment, the academy, all of it. And Leo Messi would leave Argentina, leave his family, and move to Spain alone to chase a dream most people said was already over. La Masia was the hardest chapter nobody talks about. He was a foreign kid who barely spoke the language, still the smallest player on every team, still injecting himself every single night, thousands of miles from his mother. His father Jorge stayed with him, but that brought its own pressure. This wasn't just Leo's dream anymore. The entire family had sacrificed everything. Failure wasn't an option. But on the pitch, something extraordinary was happening. The treatments were working. Messi was growing. And as his body developed, his talent exploded. Coaches would stop entire training sessions just to watch him move. At 16, he was playing against men. At 17, he made his official Barcelona first-team debut. What followed is the most decorated individual career in the history of football. 8 Ballon d'Or awards. Over 800 career goals. Records in Spain that may never be broken. A Champions League triumph that is still called the greatest club team ever assembled. And then in 2022, the one thing missing: the World Cup. In Qatar, in what everyone assumed was his last tournament, Messi carried Argentina to glory in what many call the greatest final ever played. The boy who almost couldn't grow up to be a footballer had become the greatest footballer who ever lived. Here is what gets lost in all the highlight reels. At 11 years old, Lionel Messi had every reason to quit. The doctors had given him a verdict. His family's finances had given him a limit. The football world hadn't decided if he was worth the investment. He kept going anyway, every night with that needle. Every month his family stretched further. Every session where the smallest kid in the room had to prove he deserved to be there. The greatest player in history wasn't born great. He was built through pain, sacrifice, and a refusal to accept what everyone else said was impossible. If you want more stories like this, the real stories behind football's greatest moments, subscribe to Football Chronicles. We post every single day. Drop in the comments. What is the most inspiring comeback story in football history?